But I think the main things is at the end of the day, volleyball is volleyball. It's in the same 9x9 court, and the rules are the same. So we. Is that on the back of your shirt?
Yeah, it's on the back of the shirt.
Beauty. A little free shout out for you. And it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net. You need to still execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win.
That's right, boys and girls. Welcome back. This is a very special episode of the 9x9, the 81 square meters of the best volleyball coverage on the internet. We're talking about the Women's World Championship today. My name is Rob St. Clair, live from Chicago. That is Everett Delorme, live from Everett. Where on earth are you right now?
I'm in basically almost northern Ontario at Killarney Provincial Park right now. I'm sitting by the fire. And it's about 5 degrees Celsius out right now, so it's a little chilly.
Yeah, you're bundled up. You got the hat, you got the fire, and this is just so that people know. These are the lengths that we go to bring you the 81 square meters of the best volleyball coverage on the internet. These are the lengths that we go. Everett is in the middle of nowhere. He is sitting outside. It is cold by a fire. And here we are doing a show, so that is amazing. Everett, we were just talking before the show. We were pulling up stats on you have a computer there with a hotspot, and you said that your computer literally turned off because it was too cold for it to operate.
Yeah, it's the MacBook Pro metal is usually a really nice finish. Not when it's 5 degrees out. It kind of hurts to touch right now. Cold. So, I'm just luckily I did some good research before this one because I'm going to be going in blind without any of my stats. But it's been a fantastic second half of pool play. But Rob, now that the first round's done, I kind of feel that like this is when the tournament really gets started.
I think that's really well said. I just wasn't really thrilled. I wasn't really feeling it after the first half of pool play. The last show we did was on Tuesday, and there hadn't really been all that much that had happened to that point. But since then, from Wednesday's matches on to even the matches earlier today, there have been some bangers. And now that we know the teams that are moving on to the second phase of this carryover pool play thing, it does seem like the tournament really starts now. So you want to jump in first, Everett, to who made it out, and then we can break down the matches that we just saw the last couple of days?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's dive into this thing. It is now decided. Pool play is over. We are getting ready to move on to the phase 2 of pools, after which all the standings from the first phase carry over. This all starts on October 4th, which is Tuesday. So no matches tomorrow, Monday, but all these matches are starting to get going on Tuesday, October 4th. And we are now down to 2 pools of 8. And they're called pools, but I'm going to call them groups because it's not really a pool because they're not playing everyone else in the pool. So let's take a look first at Group E, which has the teams that fed in from pools A and D. So the teams that made it out of Pool A, Italy, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Puerto Rico. And then coming out of Pool D, China, Japan, Brazil, and Argentina. So those 8 teams make up Group E. And the format of this is pretty simple. If you're on the left side of that line on the screen, so the teams that came out of Pool A, each of them will play 4 matches against each of the teams from Pool D, and then vice versa. So you are playing everybody in your pool except the teams that you've already played. So everybody's going to play 4 matches over the next 4 or 5 days. And very importantly, all the standings that all the points, the wins, the set ratio, all of that from the first 5 matches of the original round of pool play, all of that carries over to this round. And we'll look at those standings in just a second. But those are the teams going at it in Group E. You won't see any rematches. Italy, Belgium, Netherlands, and Puerto Rico already played one another, but each of them will take on all 4 of China, Japan, Brazil, and Argentina in Group E. Similarly, looking at Group F, you got the teams from Pool B that made it out. Turkey, Thailand, Dominican Republic, and Poland. All 4 of them survived that pool of death, which we'll get into. And coming out of Pool C on the other side of that line, Serbia, the United States, Canada, and Germany. The same thing. All the standings will carry over. And so by the end of this, everybody will have played 9 matches, and the top 4 teams from each of these groups of 8 will advance to the round of 8. think we got Everett on a little bit of a delay. Anything to add to that, Everett, or can we jump into how
Nope.
this is going to go?
Yeah, no. Honestly, I think there's obviously Pool E is slightly weaker in my opinion than Pool F. When you've got Puerto Rico and Argentina over there, I just think that both of those teams are slightly weaker than Canada and Germany on the low end on the of Pool F. But as I said, this is really when the tournament starts now. Looking at the schedule and what we're going to have in terms of different matches going forward, like now I'm excited to go and sit down and watch this because I think we're really in for a really good second round.
Yeah, I completely agree. The cream is starting to rise to the top of this tournament. You're not going to have any like fodder teams for free wins like a Kazakhstan or a Korea or whoever, like Kenya, Cameroon. Like those teams aren't in the picture anymore. Every match is almost every match is likely to be extremely competitive. So I'm looking forward to it. Let's jump back to earlier in the week and go through kind of like we did on the last show, where we took a look at each pool, like within each pool, looked at all the matches that we have to catch up on. And let's start with Pool A. So here's the final standings of Pool A. Italy moves on a perfect 5-0, a perfect 15 points, only dropped 2 sets the entire tournament. Puerto Rico survives. Puerto Rico beats Kenya head-to-head to grab the 4th place spot, and they survive. The 2 African teams, Kenya and Cameroon, their tournament is over. And then, very interestingly, it's Belgium that comes in 2nd place. After we talked on Tuesday, Everett, that was the same day that Belgium had lost that crazy match to Italy, like 25-9 in the 4th or whatever it was. And Belgium responded, and they beat the Netherlands in the Netherlands. And I think that's really that, and then the Netherlands losing to Italy. Those are the 2 kind of matches I want to talk about in this pool.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Belgium, it was a huge statement match. And I personally thought that they were going to kind of be dead. Like, I wondered if that was going to be in the nail in the coffin, the way that they lost that match to Italy. But they bounced back nicely against the Dutch. And I mean, Britt Herbots is just humming. And this is a team that looks destined. They want to make some noise. They want to prove that they belong and really prove that they should be in VNL. And I think it's even more so now the fact that Korea was like promptly outed and was, is gone, just like they should be from VNL. So I'm pleasantly surprised and really happy to see this Belgium team bounce back the way they have.
I think that's well said. I mean, Belgium, it sucks. We've talked about it a lot this summer, their situation. Right now, there's really nothing on the line but world ranking points, which is going to be really important for them if they're going to try to get back to the VNL in the near future. They're going to need to be as high in the world rankings as they can possibly be. And wins like this over the Dutch, who are a perennial VNL team, that'll certainly help. Britt Herbots, I don't know how many matches I've ever seen at the national team level, men's or women's, when an attacker reaches the 40-point mark. 41 points.
Ludicrous.
41 points is just absolutely bananas. And it's 38 for 84 attacking with only 7 errors. And that's the difference between this stat line and the Italy stat line, when Herbots had so many continues and a few too many errors. Obviously ridiculous, like all-time absurd level of volume at 84 attempts, but very few errors and a whole lot of attack points. One of the great attacking performances I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I mean, once again, like she wants to prove a point right now, and she's doing it all on her own, right? Like she's putting the team completely on her back. He said 83 sets. That's ludicrous.
It's ridiculous.
But I also, it can't be understated how important it was for Belgium to get all 3 points from the 4 matches they did. And I mean, like, let's be honest, how close they were to be getting at least 1 point from the Italy match as well, right? So the fact they have the full 12 points moving forward into round 2 kind of puts Belgium in a really, really good spot to sneak a quarterfinal qualification in.
It absolutely does. Like, we'll look at the standings of the kind of groups of 8 later on and see how things stand up, because if you think about it, like, everybody's played 5 matches now, and you're only going to have 9 in the bank by the time you're either moving on to the round of 8 or you're going home. And so we can already kind of see who's positioned themselves well at this point.
Absolutely.
And the difference between 12 and 9 is massive. Huge difference. And this head-to-head match between the neighbors of Belgium and the Netherlands was a really big one for that. And I mean, I don't really have that much more to add to this match, except Britt Herbots was just on another level. 41 points is insane.
Yeah, I mean, let's see how long she can keep it going for, though. There's still, we as you said, 5 matches is a lot, but there's still at least 4 more, maybe a quarterfinal match in there too. So, and now they're even harder, right? There's no gimme
Right,
matches against
right.
Korea and Kenya and whoever else.
Yeah, man, poor Britt Herbach. She's whoever. I think she is playing for Firenze this year in Italy, if I remember correctly. When she shows up there, she is already going to be gassed for the season. But she's, as we've seen, she's going to lay it all out on the line for the Belgian national team as she's done the entire summer. So, yeah, good for Belgium. The Netherlands, I mean, tough loss here. I would have liked to see them do a little bit better in terms of understanding the matchup. I mean, we saw how Italy was able to defend against Britt Herbach and kind of put her in a cage there at the end of that match. Netherlands couldn't quite repeat that feat. I mean, all these sets were close, with the exception of the first. Everything was a 2-point game. Netherlands still playing at home. They have a slightly easier pool. Maybe they can grab a spot in the round of 8, but it would have been a lot easier if they had won this match head-to-head.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems that the Dutch are just missing something, and it's weird too, because their lineup is full of quality players, but they're just kind of a step behind. And I mean, once again, I think a lot of credit has to go to Britt Herbach for their win. And at the end of the day, the Dutch playing Italy, like, you're gonna take Italy in that one.
Right. Yeah, that's the only other match really to talk about in Pool A that happened since the last show is Italy beating the Netherlands 3-1. It's funny, the Netherlands-Belgium matchup. I mean, I expected maybe a little bit more out of Nika Dalderop. I think she's the most experienced, like, high-level wing attacker on the Netherlands side. And funny enough, like, Herbach's completely outplayed Dalderop 1-1, if you want to look at it that way. And it was Nika Dalderop taking a lot of Britt Herbach's playing time away this past season in Novara, independent of some health issues. But those two have gone back and forth a lot. They were competing head-to-head for playing time the whole club season, and Herbach's definitely got the last laugh here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, once again, she's on a tear, and it's too bad that the MVP has to go to that the team that wins it, or at least a team in the finals, because ultimately, like, I don't think anyone can deny that Britt Herbach has been the MVP of this World Championship so far.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Anything else about Pool A before we move on? I really think it was only those top 3 teams where the drama was, and then the one match between Puerto Rico and Kenya for 4th.
Yeah, no, there's not much interesting in this pool, so let's move on.
Okay. Let's move on to the pool of death. Now, this pool was absolutely bananas. Talking about crazy. Talking about Pool B with Turkey, Thailand, Dominican Republic, and Poland all making it out. Korea actually won a match. They beat Croatia head-to-head. And Croatia has to be the biggest disappointment of the tournament. I think we should start there before we move on to those teams at the top who all just destroyed each other the last couple of days. But Croatia, well, what happened here? They get promoted to VNL, and then they lay an egg, taking only 2 sets at the World Championship?
Yeah, I mean, that's really hard to see, especially losing to Korea, like the quote unquote worst team that should have been out of VNL. Like, right now, Belgium must be kicking themselves because of what happened at the Challenger Cup. Right. So because something happened there, either Croatia was playing out of their mind, or Belgium was just tired after a long VNL run. But this is a serious worry for Croatia. And if they don't figure something out real quick, it's going to be a quick one and done in VNL for them. Because, like, if they're out here losing to Korea as well, like, hey, I kind of like it from my Team Canada side of things. That's another win guaranteed. Whereas going up against Belgium, and Britt Herbach definitely wasn't. But yeah, if this is what Korea is going to be bringing to the table, Croatia is going to be bringing to the table, then, like, okay, yeah. Like, you're going to be there for 1 year and then you'll be gone.
Yeah, we might be seeing Belgium back in the tournament faster than we expected. Yeah, I mean, we talk about all the time with club leagues, and it applies to national team tournaments too. When you're a team that's new to a competition, whether it be the top division or a league or whatever, your goal in your first year is to stay there. Do not get relegated. And Croatia, they better have learned some lessons after this 0-5 performance at the World Championship, because if they didn't there, you're absolutely right. They will be a one and done at VNL. Yeah, I mean, now you're right. Teams like Canada, or teams like the other challenger teams in next year's VNL on the women's side, are going to be looking at Croatia as maybe a more favorable matchup than they would have before this tournament.
100%. And let's be honest too. What's the odds of Korea actually being someone's got to look at them. Like, they got the one win over Croatia, but, like, yikes. They should be a challenger team next year. I know they won't be, but yeah. But let's the rest of this pool though, Rob, was absolutely bonkers. Even the fact too that you have Thailand who finishes in second despite having less points than Dominican in third, but they have more wins. Like this pool was a slaughter fest. It's exactly what we thought it would be. I mean, Turkey really turning things around after the loss to Thailand, and everyone else just kind of battering each other up.
It was such a just circle of beating each other like haymakers all over the place. And you can see it, how tight those standings are 1 through 4, 2 4-1s, 2 3-2s, 11-10, 11-10 in points. I've never seen a pool like this. It's been so competitive. And now, honestly, all 4 of these teams are going to be serious contenders in the next round, because like I would kind of look at the standings earlier for this second phase. And if you're not already at double-digit points through 5 matches, you're going to struggle to get past that second round to get into that round of 8. All 4 of these teams, Turkey, Thailand, Dominican Republic, and Poland, all 4 of them legitimate players for the rest of this tournament. And I want to talk about a couple of these matches. I mean, the last ones that we talked about on Tuesday's show, it was when Dominican Republic 3-0'd Croatia and Poland 3-0'd Thailand, and then it kind of got good from there. Let me see. I think I can pull up the list. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
So, I mean, Thailand beat Croatia. Everybody did that, whatever. But on Wednesday, Turkey versus Dominican Republic, and a barn burner of a 5-setter, one of the best matches of the tournament so far.
Yeah, 100%. Like 2 teams who love to slug, 2 teams going back and forth. I mean, it wasn't the cleanest of games, and there was definitely like both teams have a tendency to play a little bit of sloppy volleyball. But there was still some big swings in this one, and it was entertaining for the fans, nonetheless. I thought Dominican was going to take it. That was my call, sitting at home watching. But hey, good up on Turkey to come back and pull out the win.
And we talked about it on last week's show. I think somebody in the chat asked us, like, okay, what's Turkey's deal in these clutch situations? Why do they tend to collapse a little bit? And my answer was that we got to remember, they're still kind of new to this elite international level. They haven't been a championship level contender for very long. They're still kind of ascending to that point. Winning a match like this is a huge notch in their belt to have been pushed to a limit like this, like go up 2-1, get destroyed in the 4th, 25-16, and cling on to win in the 5th. That is a character building win for the Turkish side, and one that they'll have to call back upon those feelings later on in this tournament, I'm sure, to win another match in a similar situation.
And like once again, I think we're seeing a bit of a more of a complete game from Turkey, and that they're using the left side a little bit more. Baladin is there, and they're not just solely relying on Karakut, and they're not just solely going to the right side all the time. So I'm interested to see what they can do here in round 2.
Yeah, me too. And on the Dominican Republic side, I mean, they've got plenty of other matches to talk about. I'm moving on to the next day. This was September 29th, so Thursday. Dominican Republic comes to Poland and beats the hosts in 4 for full points. And I was really, really impressed by that, because there was a run at one point. I can't remember which set it was, but Dominican Republic gave up a 10-1 run. Like Poland trapped them in a horrible rotation, and Stesiak got like 3 blocks and just a bunch of bad service reception and all sorts of just calamities for Las Reinas del Caribe, as we like to call them. They completely responded after that, and to win in a hostile environment like that with the kind of physical style of play that we're seeing. We saw Bethania de la Cruz come off the bench and was awesome. Brenda Castillo was everywhere, and it was that defensive spark that I think was part of the difference. And just
Brenda's been a game changer for them.
So good.
Absolutely.
So good.
Just watching her in serve receive, and how she communicates with Pena and Martinez and Dela Cruz. Obviously, when Dela Cruz in there, they have that chemistry. They've been playing together for so long. But Brenda takes control of that back line, and she takes so much space away too. And she's fantastic. She's really shining as one of the best liberos in volleyball. Like, she had kind of gone away from the spotlight because she doesn't, Dominican hasn't really been around as much. She's really been fantastic so far at this World Championship.
That's well said. You can never underestimate the true value of a difference-making libero. We talk about it on the men's side all the time, how it's clear when you really know what you're looking at, when you have a great libero who just takes command of his or her backcourt and takes up as much space as possible, and it even affects the opposing team's serving game plan, and all of that is true for Brenda Castillo. So she was a real difference maker. Like it was funny. The 4 teams in this pool. Let me put up the pool again. 3 teams are pretty similar. Turkey, Dominican Republic, and Poland are all pretty darn physical.
They all just love to bang. Absolutely.
Just huge bangers. And Thailand is the complete opposite of that, which we'll talk about in a second, was a cool wrinkle in this pool to see how that matched up. The difference to me between Dominican Republic and like a Poland or a Turkey is, I think Stesiak and Karakurt are both individually better scorers than anybody Dominican Republic has, but Brenda Castillo is the best libero in this pool. And that really helped equalize and make this top level of Pool B so competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do think that the DR has more firepower everywhere else.
That's
like
true.
Both of their left sides can swing. Yeah, sure. Gonzalez isn't at the level, but she can still put up points. Like I really like Gonzalez on the right side. Like the lefty some of her thumb down shots going cross court are just ridiculous. And then, as I said, with both Pena and Martinez on the left, they can bang. And you've got De La Cruz coming off the bench. I think the Dominican is how, with the depth that they have, are poised to make a potential long run. Except I do think they're going to lose to Canada. That's one thing I have to say. But
I'm excited to preview that one, and we'll hold you to that take. But yeah, the value of like a really rock solid 4th wing attacker that you can bring off the bench in a tournament like this, which we keep saying is a marathon, not a sprint. Very valuable to have. Like Bethania De La Cruz, once upon a time, was a top 5 outside hitter in the world, you could argue, and even still, she's put up a couple of very good stat lines. Last but not least, the other match to talk about in this pool. Well, 2 more matches to talk about in this pool, and both of them were yesterday. Thailand beats the Dominican Republic in the 5th, and then Turkey very similarly beats Poland. 2 crazy 5-set barn burners between the top 4 teams in this pool.
I mean, hey, I'm pretty sure I called it that I thought Dominican Republic was going to lose to Thailand early on. There's Thailand's style. The Thai style is so hard to play against teams like this, against teams like Brazil and Italy and even Belgium, like the teams that have a high level of skill already. Thailand's going to have a much harder time. But as we talked about, these 3 teams are all banger teams. They all like to swing hard, and they're a little bit more aggressively and straightforward offensively. And Thai, that just kind of plays into their game. I'm really interested to see how far they can ride this out, because that's a quality win for that Thai team over a quality Dominican Republic team.
Yeah, huge win, and very well said about just the style counter that Thailand is against all 3 of the other teams in this pool, and they walk away with a bunch of success. I mean, it's crazy the kind of 4-way circle that these teams all beat each other. Like Thailand got stomped by Poland. 3-0 was never even close. And Poland, similarly, another just kind of banger team. But then Poland loses to Dominican Republic and loses a 5-setter to Turkey yesterday, which was another amazing match in what's growing to be one of my favorite rivalries in the national team game on the women's side. Poland and Turkey continue to run into one another in big tournaments, and it's always fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 teams that are kind of similar. Sorry, and they're 2 teams that are trying to get into that upper echelon of world volleyball. Dominican Republic has been there obviously a little bit longer. Like they've been around since the 2012 Olympics. They beat the United States in London, and that was kind of their introduction to the scene. So they've already been around for 10 years. Whereas Poland is trying to get into it. On the Thailand side of things, you have to kind of question yourself as what would this Thai team record look like if they didn't have to travel mid-tournament and play in Poland? Because that loss to Poland came after the travel day, right? So if they had just started the tournament in Poland and had just stayed there, what would their tournament look like? Would they know at this point, right? Or would they have still lost that match? I don't really know, but it's interesting to think about.
And on the Polish side, and we were talking about it in the men's tournament, how huge of a home crowd advantage there is in general, but especially in Poland, they're all absolutely obsessed with the game. Sure enough, after that travel where Poland was made to play 1 match in the Netherlands and then came home, Poland loses 2 matches at home in this pool. I was really surprised by that. I thought maybe one, there's just so many good teams in this pool. I did not expect them to lose twice. And even though they've got a bunch of points, I think they still have 10 points Yes, 10 points even with 2 losses is pretty good, but we'll see if that comes back to bite them, even though they're going to continue playing at home for the rest of the second phase group.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Poland is like we talked about Turkey, who's like kind of knocking on the door of being a great team. Poland isn't even there yet,
Right?
They're a team that are still looking to belong, right? I mean, like I'll be honest, like playing like Poland, like from a Canada point of view, Poland doesn't scare me, right? I think we losing to them is a possibility, but I think there's also the possibility of winning, right? So yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, like both Turkey can be fantastic on days, and other days they aren't. And the Dominican Republic has been there before, so tough break for Poland, but we'll have to see how they can bounce back throughout round 2.
Yeah, and there's just still a lot more volleyball to be played. So yeah, I mean, it was pretty clear coming in that there were 4 main players in this pool, but they all produced some crazy matches along the way, and they're all going to go into this next round with a serious shot at the round of 8. But it's not going to be easy for any of them, as we'll look at in the pool standings coming up. Ready to move on to Pool C, Everett, where both of us have got some stake in the game.
Absolutely, this is hands down the one that we're going to talk about the most, because my girls showed up. My girls did it.
Did they ever, dude? You predicted it on last week's show or on Tuesday. Like, I still think that Canada can not only advance, but they can get 3rd in this pool, and they did. We don't even need to spend that much time talking about the United States. We'll spend a little, but I do want to talk about Canada quite a bit, because it was kind of a 3-horse race between Canada, Germany, and Bulgaria, and Canada beats both of them head-to-head, including an awesome 5-set win over the Germans, and are going into the second round. I mean, Everett, it's the weirdest thing. I don't know if I ever thought that in a given year, the Canadian women would have a better world championship than the Canadian men. How about that?
Well, I mean, it's never happened, right? We haven't. The Canadian women have failed to qualify for the second round since all the way back to 1982. It's been 40 years since the Canadian women have made it past the first round at the World Championships, and the way we did it too. I mean, like I always knew, and speaking to some of the girls in the team too, like and some of the staff as well, like Kazakhstan, that was a gimme. That was just to get the horses going, and we did it really well. Bounced and then followed that up with a fantastic win over Bulgaria. Kind of had to weather the storm a little bit with Vasileva, Antanasievich, whoever you want to call that, but we did it well, and that was the one that really clinched second round for us. That was a massive win. But then the way we bounced back against Germany, I mean, I woke up with a not so great hangover on a Saturday morning and watched that one. And yeah, losing 25-12 in the first set was not what was going to cure my hangover, and it really upset me. And then, we did better in the second, but just the way that team bounced back. Jasmine White came in and did so well coming in off the bench, which is great, because that's an athlete who's battled so many injuries over the years. And, like, it's so happy for her to come in that way. But just, you saw the team kind of build confidence and build momentum towards the end of that German match. And like, once we hit that 5th set, like we were just rolling, and we were just going, and we were starting to click as a team. So love to see it. Though that set of girls and athletes are making history right now for Canada making the second round. And I mean, the fact that we cross over with the pool that we do, I'm really interested to see what happens, because I mean, we beat Turkey at VNL. Like,
that's right.
We've beat Poland before. Like, I think Thailand, we'll have to see. It's stylistically, it doesn't really match up. And Dominican Republic is a team that we know really, really, really well and have great battles with, and I've had some success with against them in the past. So I'm looking at this, and I don't even haven't really talked much with some of the girls in the team, but I know they're looking at it and licking their chops, because there's no Italy, there's no Brazil, there's not some of these big teams.
They already played the USA and Serbia. I mean, yeah,
exactly.
They're in a great spot. Their schedule could not have been better. I mean, you had the 2 matches you probably weren't going to win anyway first, and then you had Kazakhstan third, which it couldn't have been better. So you kind of take your licks, figure it out for 2 matches, get a free win, and then sets you up for 2 really competitive like character building chances to make a real statement, and they absolutely did. I mean, yeah, a reverse sweep against Germany after losing 25-12 in the first. You can't overstate how impressive that is. Everett, how high right about now would you place Bree King in terms of world female setters? She's climbing up that list for me pretty quickly.
Absolutely. I think Bree, where she really thrives is her leadership and the way she leads this team. I still think she has, once again, like I think she's phenomenal, but I'm trying not to get my hopes up too much because I think she's done a great job, and I still think that there's a little bit to go. The fact that she's going to play in Brazil this year, she's going to play for Bernardinho, like she is going to learn so much, and I can't wait for that. But I think she's really shown and she's really grown with the hitters that she's had around her. Like she's really there is a couple balls that she's given like to Kira on the right side that's putting her right to the pin. It's right exactly where Kira wants, and it's just giving her all the shots. And the same thing, like Hillary Howe bounced one down the line against Germany, and that set was just so perfect. And there was only about a ball's width between the blocker's hands and the antenna, but Howe was able to hit it so perfectly, and that was because of Bree's set. She's really been growing so much. And I mean, to think about that, this was an athlete who didn't think about playing for the national team, who was ready to kind of pack it up after her university's career was done, and was given an open tryout invite by the last coach, Tom Black, and now here she is. It's phenomenal. And I mean, I think it's just a testament also to the entire team and how we're doing. You know, we talked about how Alexa Gray was really targeted against Serbia and the USA, and she stepped up huge in passing. I mean, it was a little bit ugly in set one against Germany, but since then Alexa Gray has been rock solid. And you know, looking at some of these teams, they're not fantastic serving teams like both USA and Serbia. So I'm very optimistic moving forward for this Canadian roster.
I think that's a really good assessment. A huge success for the Canadian women's team this World Championship, and it is far from over. Before we move on from Pool C, I do want to talk about the United States because we got what may be a preview of one of the semifinals, because as we know, this tournament format is really stupid, and we're almost guaranteed to have rematches. Actually, we are guaranteed to have rematches everywhere in the rounds of 8 and the round of 4, which I do not like at all. But there's a great chance that we see United States versus Serbia again in the semis. And I mean, the scoreline is not good here. If you're an American fan like myself, 25-20, 25-23, 25-13 was a sweep and a beatdown. I kind of saw this as a punt by Karch Kurai, especially in the third. I mean, he pulled all the starters in the third set, put in Danielle Coutinho at opposite, who did not look good, put in Anna Stevenson, put in Sarah Wilhite, like Hannah Tapp started the whole match. Ali Franti didn't see the court at all. This felt like a bit of a punt to me, and that's okay, because Jordan Poulter's a little banged up, and so is Justine Wong-Orantes. There's some minor injury concerns there. I mean, both of them played in this match. But I'm okay with the approach to maybe take your foot off the gas a little bit against this Serbian team and put more eggs in the basket of playing them later on when it really matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think it's so tough to beat a team twice in one event, like in one tournament.
Yes.
In league play, it's different, but in a tournament like this, it's really hard to beat a team twice. And how many teams do you see it? Like even going back to the club level, you beat someone in pool play in the morning. Once you get to the playoffs in the afternoon, like they've been thinking about that loss, and it's time to bounce back. And you kind of you feel like you owe them one. So I think that's actually not a bad position for the United States to be in. Once again, their point total is already so high that they're already putting themselves in a good spot, even with the 4-1 wins. Like unless something drastic happens, they know they're going to get those wins to be able to qualify for the quarterfinals. But you know, you're right. Like seeing that stat line and seeing Bayama leading the team with only 6 points.
Not great.
I think not great at all. And I think it you know, and on the other side, like this is like really the tale of two very skilled teams who are coming at it from two very different directions. Like on the Serbia side, you've got Boskovic, who's coming in massive with 25 points in the match, and just, you know, the next best Serbian scorer has 8 points. Like it's not even close. She's getting Britt Herboth's levels balls and for good reason, right? She's Tiana Boskovic. But on the other side, you have all of these smaller numbers on the United States as they're still trying to find what works for them offensively. Like you have all of these options and they're all good, but none of them's great to be able to take the reign and being like, I'm like, put me, choose me, pick me.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see how much we miss Jordan Thompson. I think she is the closest go-to offensive player that we have in the gym, and she's at least banged up enough to not even be on the roster this tournament. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we've talked about it a lot in the women's game. There are these teams with these absolutely elite level opposites, and then there's the United States, on the other hand, who doesn't really have that player but is so well-rounded, and we saw how it went last summer at the Olympics. But, I mean, Boskovic today, or yesterday, 21 for 32, 2 errors. That's like 65% efficiency. That is blistering hot, plus 3 blocks and an ace. And I really thought that last year when we beat Serbia in the Olympic semifinals that we like unlocked a new level of figuring out how to defend against Boskovic. That did not happen in this match. She feasted. Never even
Honestly,
close. It was untouchable.
Honestly, with a stat line like that, I'm almost wondering if this is like if Karch is out here playing the long game, right?
Like
if Karch
letting her
is out
have
here,
that kind of a game.
absolutely, and like even going as far as like telling the team that and being like, yo, look, we're just gonna like we are going to make it so nice and easy that when we play them again in the semifinals, she comes in feeling so high and so good about herself because she carved us up for like 22 points off like just attacking alone, and then they just turn it on and play the defensive style that we know they can, from the Olympics, and just shut her down because like it's just too easy. There's no rhyme or reason why Boskovic should be carving up the United States that easily.
I love that take. I'm wondering if Karch is able to think and then execute that sort of a long con, but I do like it. And I guarantee you that if and when we see Serbia again, Boskovic will not be hitting 60% efficiency. There will be something different done. But yeah, we'll see. Serbia is certainly a great pool play phase for them, but still that 5-set win over Bulgaria is a little confusing. I'm missing out on a point there, but again, they're not going to have any problems making it through to the round of 8.
No, definitely not. And I mean, hey, like if we also want to talk about just are we done about the U.S.?
Yeah, I think we're done with the U.S. Want to monitor the health a little bit, but I have faith in this team to execute the next 4 matches worth against teams that we can beat.
Oh, 100%. I have no doubt about the next 4 matches. Like the USA is going on to the quarterfinals. For me, it's getting past the semifinals.
Yep.
Are they going to be able to do that? Without Jordan Thompson, without Jordan Larson, even if we're going back to the Olympics last year, like without that kind of like quintessential go-to player. I think it's going to be interesting. I really think it do, but I'm really looking forward to a potential USA versus Serbia rematch.
Yeah, me too. So anything else about Pool C before I move on? I mean, Germany, good for them. They make it out of this pool, but with only 7 points, I don't see the path for them going any further.
Yeah, no, I think Germany is really one of those teams that suffered from the fact that the rest of the team, like they didn't have another garbage, like Pool A, for example. Like the Netherlands are just eating up points there. Whereas I think Germany is a better team than what they're showing now stats wise, but they were just in a tougher pool and came up short against a really hot Canada on Saturday morning.
Yeah, I mean it's funny to see Vital Heinen coaching on the women's side. I keep forgetting that he's there until he pops up on my TV screen doing some shenanigans. But yeah, and then somebody put in the chat, good point. R.I.P. Bulgaria. Yeah, tough summer for Bulgaria, both the men's and the women's teams failing to get out of the first round. And I mean, the Bulgarian men didn't even win a match. And you could see how devastated the Bulgarian women were after the loss to Canada, like knowing that was going to knock them out. But they just didn't play well enough. They couldn't sustain any level of consistency and any support for Elisa Vasileva.
No, I think Bulgaria as like a federation needs to look at what they're doing at different levels, because you've got Nikolov, but like Nikolov is the son of a legend, and that's not really indicative of like having these they're not creating the level of quality players that they were beforehand, and we're kind of seeing this final generation wrap up. And other than Nikolov, like I don't really know what they have around him, and it's going to be interesting to see him, and especially on this women's side, like once Vasileva's gone, like because she's getting a little bit older too. Like what's going to happen to this Bulgarian team?
Yeah, she's the Svetan Sokolov analog on the women's side for sure. Like and she's only going to play really big tournaments, and she's got a very select few of those big tournaments left in her career. So what do you do after that? We will have to see. Let's move on to Pool D. Last but not least, talking about matches that happened this week, and really the only things to talk about here, other than Argentina barely squeaking in, but with only 5 points, they have absolutely no chance of making it out past the next couple matches. China, Japan, and Brazil all beating one another in a triangle. China very convincingly beating Japan 3-0. Japan coming out of nowhere and beating Brazil 3-1, and then Brazil responding and beating China also 3-1. So hence the 4-1, all 4-1, all 12 points. Slightly different set ratios, but all three of them are going to be players going into the next round.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the fact that they're all 4-1, they all have 12 points. Like, sure, one of them would have loved to have go 5-0, but still, like that puts them in a really, really good position. And as we said, one of the teams that they have to play on the other side too is Puerto Rico, and that's not going to scare any of them. Like that's a gimme. As I said before, I think Pool E is going to be much easier because you've got Argentina on one side and Puerto Rico on the other side. So each of those teams have kind of gimmies. Whereas I think all the way through in Pool F, even going down to Canada and Germany, who are probably the two weaker teams on paper in that pool, it's a little bit more quality than Pool E.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, this Pool D, they all had just literally free matches against the bottom three teams in this pool, and then they happened to all beat one another. I mean, I'm kind of impressed by China, honestly. They are better than I thought they were going to be. Li Yingying is having herself a really good tournament, a 4th overall in scoring right now. And then Orisa Inoue is a player that I didn't really know, this Japanese girl. She's 27, good offensive numbers. She's 5th in the tournament in scoring. So Japan has kind of got at least a couple of those horses that we weren't quite expecting them to have to compete with a team like Brazil. So Japan grabbing that win was huge. But Brazil certainly responded, and I'm not concerned about them moving forward.
No, absolutely not. Definitely not concerned about Brazil. I think that's a team that you have to look at being in that semifinal conversation. And
Agreed.
we'd already tagged them. It's probably going to be them in Italy, in my opinion. But I'm very interested to see the clash of these two pools coming together, because you've got the Asian and South American influence of China, Japan, Brazil, and Argentina going up against basically, we're not going to talk about Puerto Rico because they're just not good enough, but against the European teams of Italy, Belgium, and Netherlands. And I think that's where we're going to see maybe Japan and China get a little bit more exposed, whereas Brazil might thrive a little bit more against the Brazilian or the European teams, just in the way that the styles clash.
That is a very, very good point. And so now, I mean, I think that's enough about Pool D. Some good matches there, but I want to move on and talk about these next couple groups. So here's what we're looking at for the standings so far. This is Group E, and again, all the 5 matches from before, they all carry over, and the teams will play 4 more matches each, and after 9 matches, the top 4 out of each 8 will make it to the round of 8. So here's what we're looking at points-wise. I mean, I see this Group E, with Italy is basically a shoo-in. They've got enough of a cushion right now, and I still think that they're the best team in this pool. I expect them to make it out no problem. But then after that, you've got 4 teams, China, Belgium, Japan, and Brazil, all with 12 points right now. And most of them are going to play, well, Belgium's going to have to play all 3 of those other teams. And I don't know if that's going to go particularly well for them. But I think it's an opportunity for Brazil to really separate themselves from China and Japan based on the matches against Italy and all the other European teams, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for Brazil, they're really marking Belgium and Puerto Rico and the Dutch on their calendars. Obviously, the showdown with Italy is one that everyone wants, but I think it's probably going to be similar to the Serbia versus USA showdown, where both teams are probably pretty confident that they can beat everyone else and qualify for the next round, and they know that there's probably going to be another matchup between these teams before this tournament's done.
And sure enough, we get Italy versus Brazil first thing to kick off this pool on Tuesday, coming up October 4th, when the second phase really gets underway. You've got Japan versus Belgium, Netherlands versus Argentina, which I don't think is all that much worth watching. But then Italy versus Brazil, 11:15 a.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Mark your calendars for that. That might be the match that will define kind of how this group goes, and probably the team in Brazil that has the best chance of beating Italy.
Oh, yeah, 100%. If there's one team that I think is going to be able to beat Italy, like I don't see Japan and China being able to keep up the sustained pressure that Brazil can against Italy. Like I really want to see how Gabby plays against her future teammate in Agonu, right? So I think there's a lot of storylines there. I think if you're the Dutch, probably sucks because you're a little bit on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
If you've been able to steal like even just 1 point somewhere along there, you might have a better chance. But unless they have really really good, because like hey, they could have great matches against China and Japan, and then just have Argentina left and go 3-1 in this stage. But like I guess we'll see. It really depends on how they use that home court advantage. But so far we've seen it hasn't really fulfilled anything much for them.
Yeah, both hosts, the Netherlands and Poland, both going 3-2. I expected maybe a little bit more. I'm looking through the rest of the schedule for this Group E. Let's put it up on the screen here. So yeah, starting off October 4th, big one there, Italy and Brazil. That's this Tuesday, 2 days from now, if you're watching live. October 5th, Italy, Japan should be pretty good. Not much really else. China will beat Puerto Rico, no problem. Belgium certainly should beat Argentina. October 6th, you got China and the Netherlands. That should be pretty good. You could argue that might be a must-win for the Netherlands if they're going to try and get out of here.
I think it's a must-win for either team.
Both teams,
right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
October 7th, not much. Maybe Brazil, Netherlands catches my eye that day. And then October 8th, Italy, China's pretty good. Brazil, Belgium could be pretty good. Just a great battle of two outside hitters in Gabi and Herbots. And then last but not least, October 9th, we'll figure everything out. Puerto Rico and Argentina will have been eliminated by that point, I'm certain. Japan, Netherlands could be good, and China, Belgium could be good. So a lot of good matches. Kind of front-loaded, though, on Italy's side.
Yeah, a little bit front-loaded. At the end of the day, I don't know. The matchup of styles is intriguing, but I just don't think you have less quality teams than the other pool. I'm really excited for Pool F. Group F. I think it's going to be interesting to watch. I think it's going to be a bloodbath, and whoever comes out of it is going to be hobbled a little bit.
I totally agree. So before we move on to Group F and spend a little more time on it, what's your picks, Everett, for what 4 teams make it out of Group E? I mean, I think there's 5 main contenders. Which 4 teams do you see moving on to the round of 8?
I'm going Italy, Brazil, China, and Japan. Or no, sorry. Yeah, you know what? I'm going Italy, Brazil, China, and Japan. I think Britt Herbots, as much as I hate to say it, is probably going to lose some steam here in the second round. Like, you can't tell me that you can do multiple 80-set matches, where you're getting 80+ times over a tournament like this. Like, she has to be tired right now. And
not sustainable.
It's definitely not sustainable. And both of those teams play a really steady ball control style, right? It's not the banging style, and that we see more from the European side. So I think both China and Japan are going to have the upper hand against Belgium and against the Dutch, and of course Brazil is going to push to the top as well. So yeah, I think I'm going Italy, Brazil, China, and Japan.
My picks are the exact same as yours. I actually think I think in that order. I think Italy, Brazil, China, Japan in that order. And that'll set up for the crossovers for the round of 8, which we'll talk about on the next show, are actually within this group. It's first Group E versus fourth Group E, and then second Group E versus third Group E. I need to double check and make sure that's right. That's exactly how it is. So the quarterfinal matchups are drawn within the group. So 1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3. So I could very well see Italy, Japan, and then Brazil, China, which would both be rematches walking out of this thing. But I agree with you, Everett. Italy, Brazil, China, Japan. I think we're on the same page.
Nice, good.
All right. Let's talk about Group F because there's a lot more going on here. I totally agree with you. The quality top to bottom is way higher in this group. You don't have Puerto Rico and Argentina, who I expect should be free wins for the teams in Group E. But even Canada and Germany at the bottom of this pool, and just both perception and the standings, are much more difficult outs than those other two teams in the other groups. So it's going to be a lot harder for anybody to make it out of this pool. And we've got 6 teams. Just crazy. 6 teams out of the 8 already in double digits in points.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think 6 teams, but they're also close as well too. And especially like the weird situation with Thailand having more points or more wins than Dominican and all that. So I think that's why I think that this one, maybe not for Germany, but I think Canada might have the opportunity if they can steal a couple of wins and get full points, they can jump right back into it, because there's not multiple teams up at 12. You only got one team with 12 points. You don't have any team at 15. Serbia is not too far away at 14, but I kind of see it as you've got USA and Serbia and then just everyone else. And as I said, like this, it's going to be a bloodbath, and it's really going to be between Turkey, Thailand, Dominican, Poland, and Canada who's going to get through. And that's why like every single match matters in this pool. And to be honest, like Germany's not a gimme match either. They're going to want to get there, and even though they might even like at this point they might even mathematically out, maybe not, but certainly with only the 2 wins, and that's the first criteria, like that puts them in a not so great spot. But they're going to be that's not an easy out, right? So
right, I think they would have to go undefeated to have a chance, Germany, and I don't see that happening. And Canada, I don't know. I don't think you could lose 2 matches. I think if Canada
you'd have to go 3-1 for sure.
Yeah, I think you have to go 3-1. So let's look at this again. Just a reminder of who plays who. Group F, you've got the teams on the left side of the line: Turkey, Thailand, Dominican Republic, and Poland, who already all played one another. Teams on the right side of the line: Serbia, United States, Canada, Germany, already all played one another. So those are the crossovers. If your team is on one side of the line, you play the 4 teams on the other side of the line. And look at the standings again. Let's look at the calendar. Actually, let's look at the calendar here. No easy outs anywhere in this pool. All these matches are going to be great. Starting off on Tuesday, first thing in the morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, Canada versus Thailand. Everett, tell me what you think about the Thailand matchup being one of the most unique and definitely the only team of that style in this pool.
Yeah, they really are. And it's really going to be as how much surface pressure we put on them. I think, to be honest, what I really enjoyed about watching this Team Canada play, and in general, I think this is true for the men and the women. And, when we establish a kind of grinder style that just doesn't fall, and that's exactly what we saw in that match against Germany. So many of those rallies just kept on going and kept on going. Like, have to get a huge shout out to Pogany, the German libero, because she kept rallies alive, but so did everyone in the Canadian team. I saw Alexa Gray playing defense. I have to give an absolutely massive shout out to Ariel Palermo, who's stepped in in the libero position. We saw mostly Julia Merman during the VNL, and Merman was fantastic, but Palermo's just a little bit older, and I watched her quite a bit playing in club for the Halton Volleyball Club, and I always thought that it was a shame that she didn't get picked up by a D1 school as a DS, because she was always that perfect like firecracker who plays good defense, passes well, but she could bang balls in club. Like 18U was like a lot of fun watching her bang balls, and seeing the way that she stepped up and just adds like a little bit more edge defensively has been a huge asset for Canada. But I think that if we can weather the storm a little bit and play a steady enough game, I think Thailand serves strategically and less so with like a lot of pressure in terms of like pace. And if we can solidify our serve receive and allow Alexa and Kira to swing away, like offensively we have the advantage for sure. But I think if we can just stay steady, we might have a decent chance against Thailand here.
I kind of agree with you. It's definitely going to come down to serving and passing, because we've talked about the Thai offense being lightning fast, and I don't think that Canada has the speed at the middle blocker position to keep up with a lot of those fast wing balls if they're in system a lot. But on the Canadian side offensively, you've got more firepower everywhere, and if you can prepare yourself for the coaching matchup and the strengths and weaknesses and staying in system as much as possible, I definitely think there's a chance there, and we're going to find out first thing Tuesday.
I would actually disagree with you, and I think that in terms of the secondary blocker position, like neither Jen Cross nor Jasmine White are fantastically fast at closing the block. But in that, who's the M1 right now, Emily Maglio, and I mean, this is a girl who was one of the top blockers in the NCAA when she played at Hawaii, and she's been one of the top blockers in the past few years, playing for Nilüfer in the Turkish league as well. She's someone who closes the block really, really well and really fast, and she also reads really well. So I do think we give it a little bit away in that M2 position, but in the M1 position, I think Maglio does a fantastic job at closing well. But also, like, we've got good pins. Like, Howe is a fantastic blocker for her size, and then with Gray and Kira as well, and we've even talked about Bree getting those blocks as well. I think we set the block really well, and which is going to allow our middle. So it's going to be interesting.
Yep, so we'll see Canada versus Thailand first thing Tuesday morning, followed by an all-Norsika matchup, United States versus Dominican Republic, Turkey versus Germany, Serbia versus Poland. I mean, all four of those matches are bangers.
That's what I'm saying.
Those are four great matches, like amazing. Then it doesn't stop there. Wednesday, Thailand, Germany, probably a must-win for the Thai. Turkey versus Canada, I mean, revenge game for Turkey after Canada beat them at home in Calgary during VNL. Serbia, Dominican Republic. I mean, that could kind of be a trap game there, honestly. Serbia is the one team in this pool that doesn't really have the urgency, and I could easily see Dominican Republic stealing a couple sets from them. And then United States versus Poland. I like that matchup, but in Poland, you really never know. So 4 bangers there on Wednesday also.
Yeah, and I mean, even for that Poland USA matchup, like Poland and Turkey and as well too are very similar to Serbia, where they're very dependent on one hitter, and we've seen the USA kind of struggle with that so far with Serbia. So I think that those are going to be interesting, especially the Poland matchup, as you said, in Poland.
Right. Moving on to October 7th, which must be Thursday, if I'm doing the math correctly. Or no, wait, no, they're skipping a day. Oh, interesting. Okay, so they're playing a Tuesday, Wednesday. Nobody's playing Thursday. They're skipping straight to Friday, October 7th. I'm not entirely sure why. I guess just give everyone a day off. That's fine. October 7th, Serbia versus Thailand will be a fascinating style counter for sure. United States versus Turkey should be good. Dominican Republic, Germany should be competitive. And Poland versus Canada is probably a must-win for both teams.
Absolutely, right? You know, as we said, we got to go 3-1. So, I mean, even better 4-0, but absolutely a must win. And at the end of the day, if you think if Poland loses to Canada at home like that, the World Championships, that might be the dagger in the end of their tournament.
It very well may be. And then last but not least, October 8th, United States versus Thailand, Serbia versus Turkey. That's a great matchup. Dominican Republic versus Canada, like you said, Everett, that's a team that you girls know pretty well. And Poland versus Germany, which I'm going to go ahead and call the Vital Heinen Bowl.
Oh yeah, that one should be good. Definitely for the Vita Heinen Bowl, because you know that Polish fans are gonna. But I do feel like they like Vital Heinen. Actually, no, maybe not. They did
I'm
before.
not sure. I think he won them
not anymore.
Yeah, he won them a world championship, but then he threw away an Olympic Games for them. I think that there might be some hard feelings there from both sides.
Yeah, but for me, the fact that Canada and Dominican finished off the tournament, I absolutely love that. Right, because there's a potential that if one of these teams can send the other one home and move on, or like, you know that there's going to be some types of implications at the end, even if there's not, even if both teams are relegated or moving on or whatever it may be. Like, these are two teams that have played each other a lot, and you know what, as much as the USA Dominican rivalry has been really good over the years, the past few years the Dominican versus Canada rivalry has been better, because the USA has just been so far beyond Dominican, and it's been a little bit closer. So I think that if Canada's in a position to advance and has Dominican Republic ahead of them, I think they feel really good about it. But on the flip side, if Dominican's in the position to advance and they have Canada in front of them, I think they also feel really, really good about it. So either way, I think that's going to be the best game to finish off on, and that's the one I'm most excited for Team Canada in the second round.
Huge passing of the torch potential game there for like that second best team in the Norsika region. I mean, I don't think anyone's overtaking the United States in that continent anytime soon, but Canada, a team on the rise, Dominican Republic, a team trying to hang on to a great generation. Very serious opportunity that if Canada can win that match, they can kind of grab that prestigious or the I don't know, the perception of where they're at in the continent, in the world, might really change if they can beat the Dominican Republic there.
Yeah, I mean, we've jumped up to now to 15th in the world rankings. So things are moving for this team right now. And I think getting to the second round was obviously the goal. We've done that first time since in 40 years. Now let's see how far we can run for it. And if we can do, right, even if it would be to like just prevent the DR from moving on, I think they would love that.
Yeah, I think they would too. Yeah, Canada up to 15th, Dominican Republic hanging on at 9th. Man, there's a lot of really competitive stuff going on in the world rankings on the women's side. And I don't know, does it feel to you, Everett, like 15th in the world on the women's side is more competitive than 15th in the world on the men's? I kind of feel like there's a bigger drop off on the men's side than the women's side.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Right, like the quality of teams is on the women's side is definitely deeper all the way through. Right, if you're looking at like how many legitimate teams coming out of Asia, how many legitimate teams coming out of North America, South America, and of course Europe. There's way more depth of talent on the women's side. Absolutely.
So, who are your picks for Group F? This is where I think it's going to get really, really interesting. What 4 teams do you have making it out of here?
I'm gonna go Serbia, USA, Turkey, and Canada.
Okay. He's going for the homer pick, which I absolutely love. I'm going to go Serbia, United States, Poland, and Turkey. I think Poland has a real chance to figure it out this week, and I think they will. And then I think Turkey grabs the last spot. I could see. Let's see. Thinking about Turkey's matches, I think that they have honestly a really good chance to beat Serbia on Sunday, or maybe it's Saturday. The last day of this pool, Serbia, there's a great chance they're already going to have something secured or locked up. I think Turkey will have more on the line at that point, and that might propel them to a bit of an upset. And I think that they will get revenge against Canada, unfortunately. Everett, I hate to pick that. I don't think they'll beat the United States. And then they've got one other one. Germany. I think they beat Germany. So I think there's a great chance Turkey goes 3-1 this week.
Okay. Wow.
And I think that Poland,
I don't disagree with that. I do think they're going to go 2-2 because they're going to lose to Canada. But I mean, to each their own.
Yeah, Poland. I think Poland's road is more difficult. They start off with Serbia and the United States in that order, but then, yeah, man, I don't know if they win 2 games, we'll see if it's enough. I think that they will figure it out, and so yeah, I've got Serbia, USA, Turkey, Poland, and that'll set up for some pretty good, very good round of 8 matches.
Yeah. I fully agree. As I said, like this is when the tournament is for me. Like this is when things are getting exciting. Pool E is a bit meh, but Pool F is going to be a banger all the way through, and I know it's going to provide some drama. And then we're starting to run now, but then it's completely off to the races once we get to the quarterfinals, and then it's no holds barred. So
that is right.
I'm into it. Let's go.
I'm into it. Let's go. Great matches starting Tuesday morning. Everett, thank you very much for joining from the middle of absolute nowhere, freezing by a fire outdoors. That is the level of commitment that we have on this show. He's literally getting a roasted hot dog right now. Incredible. I love this so much. Don't ever say we don't do anything for you loyal viewers. I love it, Everett. If you're listening on audio, Everett is actively filming himself grilling a hot dog over an open flame. So we're going to let him get back to doing what he's doing out in the great outdoors. Thanks for watching, boys and girls. Make sure you join the Volleyball Source Discord to catch up or just follow along with the entire tournament. Watch the matches this week, and the next show we will have for you will be next Sunday, a week from today on October 9th. And Everett should be back indoors by then.
Yes, I'll be back in a little. It's
Oh, we were doing so good the whole show before.
Lost.
Yeah, dude, we were doing so good the whole show. Your connection held up great up until the very end. I couldn't really hear most of that. But whatever. I think Everett deserves some kind of award for being a legendary trooper and spitting takes on the show hotter than the fire that is next to him. So, Everett, well done, my friend. Have fun out there. We will see you great people next Sunday. Enjoy the week of matches. Thanks for watching.
Peace.